After years of IVF and infertility treatments, my cycle just isn't consistent sometimes. The hormones, the countless procedures I've had, it's changed everything. And in the months where we've taken a break from treatment, I sometimes don't even know when I'm ovulating or when to expect my period. It's one more frustrating thing on top of an already really hard journey. Tempdrop has helped me feel like I can actually understand what my body is doing again. It takes thousands of temperature readings overnight, so even when my cycle is unpredictable, the data holds up. And I can log everything in the app, how I'm feeling, ovulation strip results, physical symptoms. So when I go to my doctor, I can share this high-level cycle data to help inform treatment plans. 5 years into this journey, and anything that takes a little stress off my plate matters more than I can say. If you're looking to get more accurate cycle insights, even if you have an irregular cycle, consider Tempdrop. Use our code AFFriedEggs for 10% off and a 2-month trial of their app.
I'm obsessed with your art. Is that from is it from the brand that's in Morocco?
No, it's like
No.
a
Okay.
random Etsy artist that I found.
I love it. I love it.
Just like I saw it and was like, I must
have it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I do it equally for me and the people that are looking at me. You know, I want to like give you something more interesting than my face to look at.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I have my closet. Sorry, no cool artwork right now.
Oh, good.
That's
I'm
amazing.
excited for this, you guys.
Yes, we're so excited. Okay, well, hi everyone, and welcome back to the Fried Eggs podcast. We're so excited to have Lauren Makler, the co-founder and CEO of Cofertility, with us today to chat about egg freezing and family planning. Cofertility takes a modern and supportive approach to fertility care by making egg freezing more accessible and egg donation less transactional. And through their model, women have the opportunity to freeze their eggs for free when they donate half of the retrieved eggs to families who otherwise couldn't conceive, including people facing infertility, same-sex couples, single dads, cancer survivors, and more. And Lauren has received numerous accolades, including being named the Inc. Female Founders 500 and Fast Company's list of the most creative people in business. She became the essential voice she's become the essential voice in conversations about fertility access, transparency, and the destigmatization of egg donation. And so we are so excited to have her here today. Lauren, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I love what you guys do. I'm very excited for this.
Awesome.
We are too. Yes, we have so many listeners who I think are maybe familiar with Cofertility or just curious about egg freezing and egg donation and what that all looks like. And so we would love to just start by having you share a little bit about your story, because I know that Cofertility came from a very personal place. And so I'm curious to hear your story and to also know kind of what was that moment that you realized that the system needed to change?
Yeah. Wow. Something I am a big believer in is that our setbacks can be our setups. And so that's like really where so much of this comes from. I was a pretty early Uber employee and was building a business line there that I felt very strongly needed to exist, called Uber Health, helping low-income and elderly patients get to the care they needed through non-emergency medical transportation when I became a patient myself. I woke up one morning with a pain in my side and had this feeling that it really wasn't good. I pushed for some imaging at my primary care doctor. They sent me for that imaging, and sure enough, I had masses growing everywhere throughout my abdomen and pelvis.
Yeah.
And I remember them telling me, you need to have a surgery this week. Where's your nearest family member? It's happening really fast. And the only question I could think to ask was, will I be a mom someday?
Yeah.
And my doctor said to me, I will never forget it. She said, maybe you'll be a unicorn. That's how bad this situation was.
Wow.
Yeah. And turns out that I went in for that diagnostic surgery later that week and miraculously did not have some crazy horrible malignant cancer. Instead, I am one of 154 people on the planet with an incredibly rare abdominal disease that causes like cystic masses everywhere throughout your abdomen and pelvis.
Wow.
Oh
It's
my God.
debated in the literature. Is it low grade cancer? Is it benign? Doesn't matter as much as making sure it comes out. Right. Like, I
Right.
guess the
Wow.
biggest risk is that it can cut off the functioning of your organs. And so they were like, this has to come out now.
Wow.
And I remember signing paperwork that was like, yes, if you need to take my ovaries, take them. If you need to take my uterus, take it. If you need to take my fallopian tubes, take it. Right. And so I had this like weighing on me pretty heavily.
Wow.
And they basically said, you're going to have a couple more surgeries at some point. This is going to be a little bit of a road. And so I went to go see a fertility doctor, and he was like, your disease is so rare. I'm not going to freeze your eggs. Like, I don't know what's going to happen if we like inject your abdomen with hormones. We have no data.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
was like, well, like, how will I be a mom? And he was like, well,
Yeah.
maybe you'll need an egg donor someday. And it was the first anyone had ever talked to me about egg donation. I knew very little about it. I think like the extent of my understanding at that point, I remembered like watching Glee in high school when Rachel Berry like meets Idina Menzel as her, egg donor, and
Oh,
thinking,
yeah.
like what is this? Right? Like that was my only exposure. And I'm a planner. And so I decided I was not ready to have kids, by the way. I was like, had just met my now husband like a couple months before. And so I had to learn everything I could about it. And I was shocked by what I saw.
Mm.
I could not believe that donors were paid, an amount from intended parents starting around $10,000, goes up and up and up depending on their heritage, their race, their religion, their education, like their pedigree, basically. To me, it felt super icky that
Mm.
that was like what drove the cost. It was like, this is surge pricing for egg donors, right? Like, we
Of
don't
course you
do
would
this.
think.
Yeah, I couldn't help it, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't do this for organ donation. We don't do this
Right.
for blood donation. Why is this how we do egg
Wow.
donation, right?
Such a good point.
Right? I also couldn't believe that these donors were billed as anonymous when,
Mm.
if today's day and age we have at home DNA testing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if
Right.
at home DNA testing exists now, imagine when a donor conceived child grows up and, 20 years from now, it's going to be really easy to figure out where your genetics are from. And so that felt like a lie to me. I also learned that no
Mm.
one puts a limit on the number of families a single donor donates to. Right.
Yeah.
And so if you have an egg donor who does, one egg retrieval cycle, if she's between the ages of 21 and 34, she's getting a lot of eggs. They divide those eggs into cohorts of 6. And
Mm.
Okay.
so, and then she cycles 5 more times. And so a single donor's eggs can go to like 25 families. And if you're
Wow.
expecting that she might be in touch with a future donor conceived child, it's untenable. Like, it just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And what I learned is that, like, this whole system was established in a time where we didn't know any different and we didn't know any better, right? Like, at home DNA testing didn't exist. There
Mm.
were no voices of donor conceived people advocating for future donor conceived people. And so we just
Mhm.
didn't know what we didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Now we know a hell of a lot better, right? Like, we know better, we should do better. And so at
Mm.
the time, I really wanted nothing to do with the existing egg donation options out there. And my sister decided that she would freeze her eggs and donate them to me ahead of my next surgeries. And so I was so lucky to have those eggs waiting for me should I wake up with no ovaries from the surgery, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And ended up having 2 more surgeries, miraculously did not lose my ovaries,
Mm.
but I got to live my life with the gift of frozen eggs, right? So I like got to make decisions about my career without that ticking biological clock feeling. And I got to make decisions about my relationship without that pressure.
Mm.
And we still didn't know if I'd be able to conceive unassisted because of what everything I had been through. Um, but miraculously, I was able to, and I now have a beautiful 4.5-year-old
Oh,
who, when I held her in my arms, I had this feeling of like, I don't want to do anything else with my time that help other people have this feeling I have right now.
Mm.
And so
oh,
I gave notice at Uber after my maternity leave, got connected with my amazing co-founder, Hallie, and we have not turned back for a second since. And
that's
so our
incredible.
model is one that really helps solve these problems on both sides. We do egg donation a hell of a lot differently where we remove cash compensation. So instead of getting paid cash, the donor gets to keep half of the eggs retrieved when she donates to intended parents. And that could be, where she donates all the eggs from cycle 1 and keeps all the eggs from cycle 2, or it could be a divided single cycle, just depends on what everyone's family building goals are. We
Hmm.
offer disclosed donation if that's something intended parents and donors are interested in, where they have the
So
opportunity
cool.
if they want to meet one another as part of the process,
Yeah.
or to if when the child turns 18, if they want to reach out to the donor, that can be an option as well. And then we limit the number of families a single donor can donate to through Cofertility to 3 families, which
Okay.
feels so important, just
Hmm.
knowing the perspective of donor conceived people, which we have donor conceived people on our team, right? Like we believe that anyone who wants to be a parent deserves to be a parent. And for that to exist, third party reproduction, including egg donation, needs to exist. We just need to do it in a modern and thoughtful and ethical way. So
Yeah.
that's really, how we're coming at this. And it's just wild to me how many people it resonates with.
Yeah.
Our donors are amazing. Are like so ambitious and smart and educated.
Mm.
55% of them have a graduate degree or higher. Like they
Wow.
are physicians and lawyers and like just really amazing, thoughtful women who are like, wow, I can do this for my own future and help someone else at the same time. And it's
Yeah.
not
Wow.
about income for them. And so it's just like the coolest thing that I get to do this, help people have babies now, and then for a whole other group, help them have them someday.
It's amazing.
That's incredible. Yeah. Just thank you for what
Yeah.
you have created here.
Thank
Like,
you.
you are helping so many people. You answered my question. So I'm going to let Amy go to her question because I was going to ask you, can you please explain how co-fertility is different from traditional egg freezing? But you nailed it and explained it so beautifully.
Yeah.
So Amy, I'll pass to you.
Yeah, well, it's related, but, you made me think about, like, kind of the misconceptions that we might have of or and what it used to be like and how it should
Mhm.
evolve, now, and I'm curious, as I kind of transition us into I wanna ask about what, stigmas or misconceptions exist around egg donors or egg
Yeah.
egg donation, and I also you triggered something in me where I think it's also important to kind of think about like what are the stigmas or how we think about egg donors themselves versus what
Yeah.
they're actually like. And I think there's that historical background that you mentioned where it's sort of like a blind banking. I know a girlfriend who
Yeah.
did egg
Yeah.
donation in college to set herself up for her future.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting talking to her at the time back when we were, I don't know, 20,
Yeah.
and asking her questions like, well, what if, like, how do you feel if, one of you, like a half of you exists out there? What
Yeah.
is that like? And the kind of things that she had to think through. And so
Mhm.
I'm curious if you could touch on that as well.
No, I was just gonna say there's stigma on both sides, and
Yeah.
the stigma is really different, right? So
Mm.
for someone who's considering egg donation, right? I think the biggest thing we hear about is what if I'm walking down the street one day and I see someone who looks like me, and am I gonna wonder if that's the child born from this donation? And that's such a real feeling, but it's rooted in the idea of anonymous donation, right?
Mm.
Like our ability to like remove that entirely by saying, hey, you have the opportunity here to meet the intended parent or to come up with an arrangement where you stay in touch. Like we recently had an intended parent who actually now a parent who just had their baby and the baby's middle name is the donor's first name, right? Like
Mm.
like they know one another and they
Mm.
have decided that they're going to like send updates once a year, right? And that's something that, you know, feels comfortable for both parties. And so we feel that like no two situations are the same. And every match that we support has a member advocate on my team who helps to make sure that everyone's in alignment with what are the disclosure preferences and what does that relationship look like. And if both parties feel good about that going in. And if not, then we find them a different match, right? Like you
Mm.
can't, it shouldn't be a black box and you shouldn't force it. I think the other part of it really comes, sadly, from cash compensation on the donation side. I think that
Hmm.
women often feel like, oh, if I'm getting paid to donate my eggs, like, am I like selling my body? Am I
Mm.
like a commoditized feeling? And I think that that's something that brings like shame in a way that sucks, right? Like, it shouldn't be
Yeah.
that way. You're literally doing something so incredible for somebody else, and
Yeah.
yet this mechanism is making us feel a type of way about it, and I hate that. And so I think our model
Mm.
really helps with that. And what's been interesting to see is that, like, we are not like competing with other egg banks and other egg donation options for their donors. Like, we are
Hmm.
growing high of women interested in donation. Right? Like, these
Interesting.
are women who come to us and say, I always thought it could be really nice, but I never felt right about it until I saw Cofertility. And so that
Yeah.
to me is really exciting that, like, we are bringing this to bear for so many women who like otherwise wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But the stigma on the intended parent side is something that I like want to like scream and yell about from the rooftops, because
Yeah.
it's interesting to me. I really think egg donation is fertility's last taboo. I think
Mm.
that if you think about it, years ago, we didn't talk about miscarriage. And now that is something
Mhm.
that like more and more people feel comfortable sharing with their friends, their family, on social media, like to their network and their community. And it's wonderful so that they can get support through that, but also so that they can like destigmatize it and normalize it for other people, right? We've
Mhm.
seen that now for surrogacy, which is like
Mhm.
absolutely amazing. And I attribute that to so many celebrities that have been really public about that experience and why they went that route. Also, sort of by necessity in terms of sharing it, because our culture is so public and always on that, like, if you
Mm.
saw a celebrity who welcomes a baby via surrogacy in the months leading up to a delivery, you knew that she did not carry that pregnancy. And so it's like sort of by
Yeah.
necessity that they have to share it.
Mm.
Egg
Mhm.
donation is different, right? No one has to share that, like, unless you are a same sex male couple or a single dad, it is not obvious that you've used an egg donor to have a baby unless you choose to tell people. And
Mhm.
so I sadly meet with intended parents all the time who think that this is really rare and really uncommon that they're using an egg donor, when in
Mhm.
reality, it's like 1 in 3 women over 40 that are going through IVF use an egg donor. It's
Wow.
so much more common than people
Yeah.
realize. It's just that people don't talk about it because they don't have to, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I recently was with a friend of mine who was like, I know my nephew is donor conceived. And I was like, this is not a secret. Why are you telling me? Like, why are we whispering?
Yeah.
And she was like, it actually is a secret. Like, my parents don't even know. Right. And so,
Oh,
like,
wow.
people keep it a secret, and people have their reasons. Right. And I have zero like judgment for that. My whole thing is like, you do you, but it does do a disservice to other people considering it. Right. So I'm just
Mhm.
like, let's bring it out in the
Mhm.
open. I don't think anyone's path to parenthood should ever feel shameful, should ever feel like something that needs to be hidden. And I think every child
Mhm.
deserves to know how they are raised and where they came from. And I think that it's all sort of tied together.
Yeah. Do you think it's tied back to even just how we all learn about our bodies to begin with and learn
Mm.
about fertility health and sexual health and reproductive health? The fact that like all of this is stigmatized, like you're just,
Yeah.
Katie and I talk about it all the time. It's just like, you're just supposed to be able to get pregnant, right? Like that's just supposed, when you decide to have a
Yeah.
family, that's just going to happen to
Well,
you in
we're
both of our
we're
cases,
Mm.
taught for
that's not.
so long how not to get pregnant
Mhm.
that it makes you think that the minute you're ready that it's going to be just as easy as someone made it sound, right?
Right.
And no one is teaching us about ovulation, and no one is teaching us about sperm health or male factor contributions to all that, right? There's so many pieces of this. I absolutely think, I mean, even the fact that a friend of mine is like the most incredible sex therapist. I highly recommend people check her out, Vanessa and Xander on Instagram.
Mm.
She talks about
Amazing.
how like the talk, right? Like where parents are teaching their kids about sex. even calling it the talk is doing such a disservice because
Yeah.
there's no way you can learn all there is to learn in a single conversation, right? It's like it has to be an ongoing conversation in an age-appropriate way at different points in someone's life. In the same way that like telling someone they were donor conceived should be done in an age-appropriate way from the moment you're holding them in your arms as a baby throughout their lives. So it's never like a traumatic part of their identity later. Right? Like there's so many things that have been like pushed under a rug to avoid awkward, weird, like out of the box conversations that we need to just start sooner and have them more often.
Yeah, and the stigma that's around that's like there's not any information, and also you should feel shame for that information. So, and you may already know this, but I'm on a gestational surrogacy journey, and it's interesting you brought that up because just a couple of days ago we had our psychological review, which a GC has to go through. Intended parents, depending on the state, you have to go into that too. And so,
same for egg donors too.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, that's really great. I want to ask you about that, but I want to tell this one anecdote that the psychologist asked us, will you tell your child? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here, but she did ask, will you tell your child that they were brought into this world via a third-party gestational surrogate?
Yeah.
And we were like, absolutely. Obviously, we're very open about our journey. We have a podcast about it, but
they would find out regardless.
They would find Google my name. Anyway, and she's like, well, when? And that's a question. I was like, I don't know. When it feels appropriate. And she goes, good answer.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, there's actually a lot of research to support this. So like, I'm not even like making up my own feelings on this, but we have a fertility psychologist on our medical advisory board for this reason, because there's so much to learn from. That's already like for the first time in history, we have people who have been brought into this world in this way that are adults and can give their perspective about what it means to have been brought into the world through third-party reproduction. And so listening to their perspective and their voices can be very valuable, and then doing what feels right for you and your family. But so much of it is like, if you can tell your child something before it ever feels like news, like if it's just part of what they always knew to be true about themselves and was never like a surprise, then you leave any sort of trauma out of it, right? Where like a family member accidentally mentions it to them, or, like I like to control the narrative, and like being able to do that in a way that feels right for you and age appropriate is really important.
Well, it makes me think of all of the children's books that they have for specifically like for IVF children or surrogacy or adoption. And it's just like this exposure so early on that I think is helpful. I have so many ways that I want to go. Okay. I have a question
We're both
for
obsessed
you
with this idea and this whole
so
your whole.
But
your
yes,
whole business.
just before you ask that, I just want to say the psych eval is a very important step with egg donation. And it is to make sure that the woman who is about to donate her eggs understands this is not a decision to be made lightly. This is a decision that she will make now that could have lifelong impacts, both for herself, for her family, for any of her own future offspring, right? And so we want to make sure that she is making that decision of sound mind and has really thought about it and feels good about it. And that that like the experience of doing this won't like rock her in any way, And so it's a step that like makes me feel better about just like everybody going into this eyes wide open with no surprises. And so it's very similar to the experience you go through for a gestational carrier, which is nice. I think it's important.
Yeah. After having that conversation, I was like, I'm really glad they had us do it. Yeah. I don't think it's required everywhere.
I wish it was. Yeah.
It was very supportive, actually. I mean, I feel really grateful that was my experience, but
good.
Yeah. It was nice.
Okay, so I have a question related to people who use donor eggs for their fertility journey, but I think I'm going to actually save that for the end because you're talking right now about the egg donors. And I want to ask, so something you said earlier made me think about like when we were talking about stigma and how when people donate when they donate blood or when they donate an organ, or we see them as heroes. We see them as you are providing this service that is so selfless. And so like you're giving a gift to somebody else who is in need of this gift, and how we don't necessarily see egg donation or sperm donation as in that same light. Like you were saying, like there's this like very vulnerable aspect to it of like, am I giving part of myself away? And so I'm curious to know, speaking of the like psych eval and everything, what are some of the ways that Cofertility really makes the egg donors feel empowered and supported and like fully informed? I mean, you kind of touched on it already, but I'd love to hear even more of just like the education that you're doing around like how you are giving a gift to someone. Like this is like a heroic act.
It absolutely is. I think one of the biggest ways is that our intended parents write a letter to the donor and they share as much as they're comfortable sharing about themselves and their experience, but also like what she's doing means to them and why they're going about this journey. And I think that humanizes it a little bit, right? I think they also part of it is like understanding what her family building goals are for her own life, right? And traditionally with egg donation, if a donor donates, she goes through an egg retrieval. Maybe she knows how many eggs were retrieved. Maybe, right? But what's really interesting here is not only will she get to put away eggs for her own future and have them stored for free for 10 years, but she actually gets to learn about the outcomes of the eggs that were donated. So if it's something she's interested in learning, we will share with her how many eggs were fertilized, how many of those into blasts, how many of those were euploid. If
So cool.
euploid embryos, how many of them resulted in a live birth, right?
That's incredible.
And we help her to understand, what does the math look like of the amount of eggs that she's put away for her own future, and how does that set her up in terms of what she's looking for someday. And so what's interesting is that, and I'm sure you guys know this, but like when you freeze eggs, you know they're how many are mature or not, but you don't know anything about the egg quality until they're fertilized, right? So most egg freezers don't know anything until they go years later to thaw those eggs and see how they do. Here, we're able to share those outcomes and say, hey, the intended parents, obviously sperm quality matters and you'll be using a different sperm source someday, but here's what you should know is that like these eggs were beautiful and did beautifully, right? Or, hey, like we saw more attrition than we anticipated. And given what we see the sperm quality was, like there may be an egg quality issue for you. You may want to consider freezing again. Or, hey, this went great, but you told us you want to have 3 kids. So like, do you want to do another cycle? Right. So we try to like help them understand what options they have, like egg freezing is not a guarantee. It's not an insurance policy. And if I see another company say that, I'm going to like lose my mind. But studies show that women who do have eggs frozen are more likely to have children later in life than those who don't. Like that is a scientifically proven fact. It's not always perfect. And also when biology is involved, there's never a perfect science, right? But options are everything. And so like, that's really what it's all about. And I feel back to your question about like we probably don't talk about like the heroics and the gift of it all as much as maybe we could, partially because I think that like people really feel that, and that's what compels them to do it in the first place, right? I think they have so many questions about their fertility and the process. And my team, we call it the big sister effect. And it's probably inspired by my own big sister who donated eggs to me, but who also like goes through life 4 years ahead of me on everything, right? And so I really look to her for like my approachable access, like entry point into everything I do, right? Like I like for us to show up that way for our members as people who've been through this before, who you can ask any question and not feel bad asking, and really to like lead them and guide them through this process in a way that can feel really comfortable on both the donor and intended parent side.
Do you find that women are coming to you and to Cofertility? Is that one of the motivations that they want to do fertility preservation? Or is that kind of an inkling in the back of their heads that maybe I want to learn more about this, but I really want to do egg donors and be an
Yeah.
egg donor? Is it kind of a combo? Is it all across the map?
I think it's across the map, but what I will tell you is that this so like blown away by Gen Z. Like they give me hope in that
Oh,
they are so both aware about their own fertility and know that there are proactive options. So we do far less education on why they should consider egg freezing than I ever imagined.
Wow.
And for them, it's not about should they egg freeze, it's how are they going to do it, knowing that the best time to freeze your eggs is when you can least afford it, right?
Sure.
Like the
Yeah.
younger you are, right? If they are the least likely in their life to ever have $15,000 to $20,000 laying around, right? So for them,
Totally.
it's about access. And I think they see this because Gen Z is like so open-minded, so service-oriented, and so like thoughtful about the way we grow families today. They are super interested in like, oh, this is a win-win. This is really cool. This is a way
Cool.
for me to empower my own future and help someone else achieve their family building goals at the same time. And so
Yeah.
they're like, some intended parents want to have enough embryos to have a sibling journey. And so they're like,
Yeah.
let's do another cycle together, right? Like they're really open about this, and it makes a lot of sense for this. Yeah, they
Wow.
give me a lot of hope.
That's incredible.
It really
I
feels like, oh, go ahead, Amy.
I just wanted yeah, I just wanna, like, touch on, like, I feel like we went really deep end into, like, stigma and the things, and that's,
Mm,
Katie and I are millennials, and so, like, we're all undoing a lot of this, like, shame
I
and
yes.
stuff,
know.
and part of
Yes,
this
we are.
podcast is, like, getting out of that shame spiral too, and it's just interesting for me to clock, like, these women are coming to you, they may or may not know about their own fertility health, but
Yeah.
they're learning, and they're learning in a way that we didn't get to learn when we were at the right age to
Mhm.
have learned that. Like,
Mhm.
even when I was 35, my first REI was telling me I was so young, but you're so young. You have so much time. You're so young. And
Uh-huh.
am I that? Yeah, I'm not that young. My eggs are absolutely not that young. And so it's just fascinating to see that. And I think it's not to be understated that I think co-fertility, it sounds like you guys are playing such an educational role as well of like teaching people to think about their fertility and think about egg freezing. What I'm really clocking is egg freezing is it could also be a diagnostic tool because they
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
extra next step, which you don't usually get with egg freezing.
Totally.
And so
Mhm.
my brain is like, it is a win-win. Like it's a
Well,
win-win-win.
what's so interesting to me is that, and like one of my favorite things that I still get to do now, 4 years into building this company, is I very intentionally still take a lot of our member calls because I think it helps me to like make sure that what we are building and what we're offering like still very much resonates with our members on both sides of the platform. And so I meet intended parents all the time who are, have been through so much that tell me like, and what I would have given for Cofertility to exist 20 years ago, right? They're like,
Yeah.
if only, right? And so they see this as like, wow, instead of like getting a donor where I'm like paying, writing her a check, like I can feel like I'm helping someone avoid this situation that I feel like I'm in right now. And so it's like
Yeah.
this kind of like the win-win of it all
mm.
like resonates on both sides in a way that makes me very emotional to think about. Like it's really it's
Yeah.
cool.
That's really cool.
I want to transition to talk a little bit about the other side of the equation, and specifically because our listeners are going through IVF and
Yeah.
infertility, and we do have listeners who need donor eggs, and
Yeah.
how, I think kind of like how you were talking about, this is the one thing that is still taboo and not really talked about. I think the conversation about needing donor eggs is so
Yeah.
sensitive
Mhm.
especially for somebody who's gone through multiple rounds of IVF
Yeah.
and it's failed, and their RE is sitting them down and saying, hey, I think your only option is to use donor eggs. And co-fertility feels like such a soft place to land. Like it feels like you're creating this
Mm.
space for for it to feel like, I don't know, I think Amy can speak to this a little bit more with surrogacy of having to just like shift and for your idea of what parenthood looks like to evolve and for that to be okay.
Yeah.
But I also would love to hear like, I know you work a lot with the LGBTQ community and
Yeah.
single dads, but for those who are needing donor eggs for infertility
Yeah.
purposes and reasons, how does that work with cofertility? Like with it, like on a very like logistical level, like with the
Mm.
IVF, like would I just, if I was
Yeah.
like, I need donor eggs, I'm listening
Yeah.
to this, I want to work
Yeah.
with cofertility, would I just tell my
Yeah.
doctor to call you?
You could. Chances are we've already been in touch with your doctor. Like we've
Amazing.
now worked with over 225 fertility clinics across
Oh,
the
wow.
US.
Okay.
Wow.
But I find that just start with us, right? Like we have a whole clinic team that like the minute we have an intended parent that is coming to us either from a clinic we haven't worked with or just like comes and makes a match, like that team is out meeting your clinic's third party team like instantly. So
Yeah.
like don't
Cool.
worry about the clinic piece of this. Um my feeling, and I hate that this is true, is that sometimes it can be harder to like find the donor option that you want than it is to like get your like the clinic part's the easy part.
Mm.
There are so many clinics that help
Okay.
people have babies, right? You have to feel aligned with this donor piece of it. And
Mhm.
I meet intended parents who are at all parts of this process, right? Like people who maybe are feeling really ready and really like, hey, one foot in front of the other. This is like my most pragmatic like approach to getting from point A to point B, and that's all we're gonna do. And then we have people who come who are like just really still raw and emotional from where they've been. And like we meet
Mhm.
them where they are because
Yeah.
this is like I tell intended parents when I meet them, I'm like, look, you never wanted to meet me. And I get
Yeah.
that. Like I am
Yeah.
under no illusion that you did not want to meet me. Like
Yeah.
we are not your plan A. We were not your plan B. Like, we absolutely get that. It's probably likely we weren't even your plan C. But my hope is that when you find Cofertility and you see the options that we have available and you see how we do this thing, you can at least feel like you're not settling and you can feel like
Yeah.
you are
Yeah.
moving about this in a way that feels in alignment with your values and how you want to grow your family at this point. Right. So,
Mhm.
there is absolutely a process of grieving one's genetics, right? And
Mm.
I think the cruelest part about this, cruel, not cool, is like it's awful that you have to go through that emotion while also seeing time tick by, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have so many intended parents who are like, I'm still processing this, and yet every day I feel like we're getting older and I just like, how do I do all of that at once, right? And so,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we really try, like, and part of why every single match gets a member advocate on my team is because like the logistics of all of this and the mental load of like the details of IVF, never mind a third party IVF cycle, are
Mhm.
so much to bear that like let us at least take the logistics off your plate so that you can like focus on the emotional part of it and the decision making that's surrounding it, right? So we try to take as much off your plate of the things that like we've done repeatedly over time now and know how
Mhm.
to do really well so that you can focus on the decisions that only you can make, which are like which donor feels like the right option for you, or which clinic do you want to do this with? What type of relationship do you want between you and the donor, right? So we try to
Yeah.
like hold your hands through all those decisions so that you're not on your own for that. But yeah, it really like runs the full gamut. And we have a lot of part of why we have a fertility psychologist on our medical advisories because we know that people are coming to us at really different places within this journey. Sometimes we have intended parents who get on a call with we offer like a free consultation call with our team. Like you should not have to pay for something until you're moving forward. You know what I mean? Like things like that I
Yeah.
think matter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like sometimes intended parents are laughing on that call. Sometimes they're crying on that call. And like sometimes it's
Yeah.
both. And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm curious about so you hit on something earlier, and I wanted to ask about it about intended parents if they have this vision of wanting a certain number of
Yeah.
kids, is that something they can talk to someone about before they pick the donor? Like, how many
1,000%.
eggs are at can I
Yeah.
get? I was
Yeah.
talking to some girlfriends who just went through sperm donorship
Yeah.
to make their family, and like just hearing their it's like sperm donor math, girl math, whatever math,
Yeah.
sperm donor math to figure out how many vials they needed
Yeah.
to buy, and
Oh,
think,
wow.
okay, well, like
Yeah.
if we want, if those don't work and we want a second or third kid, and then they want it to be
Yeah.
genetically the same, and so then that sperm might not still be there. And is the same kind of thing true for egg donors and or
Yes.
egg donation? And how do you think about that as an IP? Like, IPs often probably come in with a view on
plan.
this, right? At least I would
Well,
I would
so
imagine I did with surrogacy. Like, I have a plan. I know what we're looking at
yes.
here,
Well,
right?
so some intended parents come with a plan and
Okay.
some come with less understanding, less of a plan. It really just depends, right? Like
Yeah,
sometimes
sure.
like we're seeing people who've done quite a few cycles on their own before they come to us. And so they're really knowledgeable. I think sometimes intended parents are really surprised by the number of eggs a donor might retrieve, given they might not have ever had a cycle where they got nearly that amount
Right.
just because of the position that they're in. And also these donors are all between the ages of 21 and 34 and have an AMH over a certain number and are like have an antral follicle count over a certain number, right? Like that's a very different person, like from a fertility standpoint, than typically someone who needs an egg donor, right? So there's some sort of just like education around that. But the math that you're describing is something that we've seen so many intended parents like try to figure out, and that to the point where we literally just last week built a calculator that is
Right.
not just like a donor egg calculator, but it is specific to Cofertility donor egg outcomes because we only work with a certain number of like it is based on 3+ years of data that we have. And it's not
Amazing.
just, I want to have X amount of kids. How many eggs do I need? It's, are we, a same-sex male couple who both want to contribute sperm to create embryos where both of us are represented? Or are we, am I a single parent? Am I using a surrogate? How many embryos might I need to engage with a surrogate? All of those factors that like we are normally really getting deeply into the weeds with our intended parents on are all now part of this calculator. And I'm
That's
so
cool.
excited because, and then it basically says like, based on your goals, you will likely need a range of X to Y.
Cool.
And what's really exciting is, and we offer, by the way, frozen egg donation and fresh donation.
Oh,
And with frozen, what's so great about it is that like the donor has already been through all of her screening, the legal process, the psych eval, everything. And then she's already been through the egg retrieval. And instead of just like saying like, oh, you can get a lot of 6 eggs, we actually will make her available on the platform and with all of the eggs. And so we say, hey, if this donor has 24 eggs from that retrieval, you have the option of getting all 24. You could get a cohort of 12, or you could get a cohort of 8, right? Like based on your family building goals. We
Wow.
also, by the way, the only difference in pricing that you'll ever see from us is based on the number of eggs, as opposed to like someone's heritage or background or like, come on.
yeah.
And
Thanks
so,
for clarifying that.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
want to be very clear. That I like cannot with that. It
Yeah.
should not. I just like can't even give it error.
Yeah.
It's like a wild thought. Yeah.
Yeah. No, seriously. It's like I couldn't make it up that that's what's happening.
Yeah.
But what I love about that is that every set of intended parents truly has not just like different family building goals, but different like appetite for risk and
yeah.
different kids, right? So like I have some intended parents that are like, I cannot leave this up to chance. I only want one kid, but I want all of those eggs. And we're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I understand. And
Yeah.
they have that optionality.
Do they, when they kind of take that, they decide they want the whole cohort. They want 24 of these eggs or all the eggs. I'm like, give me all the eggs, right? And
Yeah.
and then they end up having success. They don't need all the eggs.
Yep.
Can they give them back, pay it
So
forward, or do they
kids-
get moved to their clinic? Like, how does that how do those
Okay,
logistics
so we
work?
actually, again, from intended parent like feedback and questions, we came up with a model around this where we said, I'll give you an example. We have an intended parent who moved for, I think there were 26 eggs, and they decided to fertilize 13 to start. And what we told them was like, if you only fertilize 13 and you don't move those eggs from like the other 13 from the original location, if you don't need them and we can rematch them, then we'll take them off your hands. So
Cool.
like,
Amazing.
again, optionality. I'm like,
That's amazing.
like, I don't want you to have eggs you don't want to use or can't use, right? Same
Yeah.
with like, we had intended parents who were like, what if we're like a genetic mismatch? Like, once we look at, the sperm source, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm literally never going to force you to keep eggs you can't use, right? So, like, yes,
Right.
that we would give you a refund and we'll get those eggs. Like,
Mm.
so we try to like work out all of those details before the eggs are ever shipped anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yes, there's
so,
like a what is it? Chain of custody issues as you
exactly.
start to
Yeah.
move them. Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
really.
We just like want to know what's up with the ex, right? And these are
Yeah.
the things that like I never imagined I'd know anything about. And
Yeah.
yet
Yeah.
here I am.
And now you're an expert.
Yeah, you had to become
um,
an expert on the whole gamut of
oh my
fertility
Me
gosh.
and like
challenges.
I had my team of 27 people are like
Wow.
just all day
Mhm.
long making this happen for so many families. They're the
That's
best.
amazing.
Yeah, so I was gonna, as we kind of start to wrap up here, I was gonna ask
Yeah.
if you can share, do you know in the ballpark, like how many cofertility babies are out
No.
there? And also for maybe somebody who has just learned that they need to use donor eggs and they're feeling very emotional or just like scared. Do you have any success stories that you can like HIPAA compliant share that
Yeah.
would make them feel more excited about this next
Oh
step
my
in their
gosh.
journey?
Well, do I know in the ballpark? I can tell you we have 67 cofertility babies out in the world,
Wow.
and
Oh,
they are all on this bulletin board next to my desk.
Oh,
The
amazing.
only thing I
cool.
wanted for my birthday was an at-home photo printer so that like the minute my team sends the photo, I could print it. But
Mm,
we have dozens of pregnant intended parents and
yeah.
gestational carriers because like it took us a little while in the beginning to like get there, and now they just keep coming, which is so amazing. And so
Yeah.
I know that that number is about to grow pretty significantly over the coming months with our like
Wow.
uh imminent due dates, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
kinda have
Yeah.
to remember, like, it takes 9, 10 months to
Yeah.
Yeah,
have so, like, you
it
guys have to get
does.
operational and start
Yeah.
Exactly.
this business.
We had to start the
Yeah,
business. We
yeah.
had to make so we started the business, and then we said we're only going to launch for intended parents when we have 50 donors available. And so we had to
Oh,
get
wow.
the
Wow.
donors first to give them some
Wow.
choice. And then we
Cool.
started making matches, and then the retrievals take time. And
Mhm.
then like there's screening and all those logistics and the retrievals, and then transfers are,
Mhm.
sometimes take time, and matching with, a surrogate takes time and that process.
Oh,
So
yeah.
um, now the babies are coming, which is like the
Yeah.
coolest,
So
right? Like
fun.
we have
That is
a
actually.
whole Slack channel dedicated to like
Oh.
the babies.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's such a good. It's like you always think things should go faster than they do, but everything in the fertility world takes a lot longer, and then it's about right. 3 years is about right
Yeah. I mean,
to see
I
any
think that's one
progress.
of the things is like the waiting
Yeah.
Mm,
of fertility treatment is something that I think not enough people realize. But yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
think if someone, to answer your other question, is like in this moment of, do I do this? Do I not do this? I think often about, I had lunch recently with this incredible woman who I met through like a women's founder event. And she asked me to lunch, and she said, I have 3 donor conceived children. They are, I think, like 10, like between maybe like 8 and 12 age
Mhm.
range. And she said, when I look at those 3 kids and I think back, like if someone gave me the opportunity to like go back in time and use my own eggs instead, like there is absolutely no chance I would do that.
Mm,
Like these are the children who were meant to be my kids, no
Mm.
question about it, right?
yeah.
And I hear that over and over and over again, right? Like once you have that baby in your arms, like there is no question that this is the person that was like meant to be yours. Like
Yeah.
however they got here. And so I know it's like so hard to believe that before you get there, but I think the process and the whole thing like really is worth it, and I get to see that now for 67 babies. It's
Yeah.
the most incredible thing. Like the most wanted of children ever.
Mm, that's really
That's
special.
yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Well, okay, before we wrap up, we have a couple of minutes left and we have some fun rapid fire questions for you. But before we do that, where can people find out more about Cofertility? Where can they
Yes.
follow what you're doing?
Okay, cofertility.com. Absolutely. We are also on Instagram. You can certainly find us. I am as well. I'm at Lauren Makler, Makler. I like love interacting. Like if I can be
Yeah.
helpful to you, find me. There's like this is my life's work. Like
Oh,
I there's nothing else I'd rather do. And so like please find us. Would more than happily, meet with you myself and walk you through the process. It's
amazing.
yeah. Let's do your rapid fire. I'm nervous.
I will, while we collect our thoughts, your Instagram is really great. There's some really good educational content on there
Mhm.
too. I would encourage people to go check it out.
Yes.
Like just even,
Cofertility family to learn more about like what it's like to go through the process as an intended parent.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
so cool.
that's great.
Amy, do you wanna take them?
Oh, sure. Okay, so first question, what is your favorite part about running a business? Did you know you were gonna be a founder? Like, when you were at
No.
Uber, which is, like, a crazy company to have been at in its
Yeah.
growth stage. I was at Square.
Yeah.
We might have worked I might have worked
Oh my
right
God.
below you in the same building.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
you guys in the black
1455
elevator.
Market Street.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh my God. We're probably in the elevator
We
together.
probably were, and probably not speaking because,
Ah!
like, there was a time where, like, Uber and Square did not
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
to each other. It was, like, funny. It was like, "Don't give away trade secrets or something, like,
Yeah,
to
so
Uber. They're gonna
funny.
steal our
Weird.
lunch." Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Did I know I was going to be a founder? No, I didn't. But I was an intrapreneur at Uber before being an entrepreneur. I think one of the unintended benefits of starting a company and growing a team and like the babies are obviously the coolest, right? And that part, whether it's those babies that are born today or the ones that will come from the women donating someday who will have their own children from their frozen eggs, which is amazing. But for me, the unintended benefit has been the like ability to grow such an amazing team and create a culture that like I could only have dreamt of in the first part of my career, right? So, like, the fact that, like, we have 27 teammates, 4 of them are women, and the men that are on our team are, like, the most thoughtful. Like, one of them is donor conceived and has 2 dads,
Wow.
and, like, he really just, like, wants to improve the space. Another
Aw.
has, like, a 17-year-old teenage daughter who was like, "Dad, I hope that you're still at Cofertility in 4 years when I turn 21 and I can donate to the split program." Like,
Oh, cool.
just to be able to build a team that's the feeling,
Mhm.
and where these
Oh.
women can, like, grow their careers and, like but also be really passionate about their work that they're doing and do it with other women like, never wonder why they've been invited to a meeting, like, can feel really
Mm.
good about their
Mhm.
contributions and feel valued, like, makes me really happy, and I never expected that when I started this.
Wow.
You seem like
That's
such
amazing.
an amazing boss.
Yeah.
I'm
You know
like,
what's
this is
hilarious? You
Do
know
you
what's
need a
so
product manager?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
Kidding.
You know what's so funny is that my parents recently met one of our, like, head of business development's mom,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Oh my God, this is Jesse's boss's parents." And they were like, "You're someone's boss." Like, they, like, couldn't believe
Yeah,
it. Like,
like,
that
couldn't like,
was, like they were
what?
like,
That's
"She's
so
just
funny.
Lauren." Like
That's so
Oh.
like,
funny.
it really threw them to hear someone refer to me that way, which is pretty
Oh,
funny to me.
that's cute.
I know how you unwind at the end of the day. Like, what
Mm.
is your, like, self-care, like, how do you unplug, from it all? Because 'Cause you're doing it all.
How old is
I
your
my
child?
so I have
For
2,
Two.
and what's
Okay.
interesting My oldest, she's 4 3/4. She'll tell you
Oh,
herself.
cute.
And then my youngest was actually born on the same day as the first Cofertility baby.
What?
And yeah, it's weird. It's the
That's
universe.
perfect.
I mean, that's,
And
yeah.
That's a
and
sign.
I did experience secondary infertility on the road to
Mhm.
having him, and I wish more
Okay.
and more people knew about secondary infertility. This idea that like just because you may have gotten pregnant and unassisted and stayed pregnant without any sort of intervention and had a beautiful first experience doesn't mean that you are not someone who might experience fertility challenges on the road
Yeah.
to number 2 or any other subsequent pregnancies, right? And
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think you get like a false sense of security once you think, "Oh, I'm just not somebody who deals with that." The reality is
Yeah.
that both you and your partner are getting older and other things might be at play. And so we ended up doing IVF for baby number 2. And my
Mm.
sister
We could
fire,
do a
sorry.
whole
No,
we could do
no.
a whole other episode with you on
Yes.
that.
Yeah, we should.
I'm
Yeah.
up
I
for
wish
that.
Yeah.
it's a rising
Yeah.
phenomenon as more and more people have their first older, right? So it's a really
Mhm.
important topic and I would absolutely like people need to shout from the rooftops about it. So
Yeah.
that's secondary infertility. But yeah, I have he's gonna be 2 in July.
Oh.
And they're both and I mentioned my doctor saying I'm a unicorn or maybe I'll be a unicorn. I wear a unicorn ring every day to like remind me that miracles happen, you know? And
Mm.
Mhm.
so I have my
Mm.
2 miracle babies. Um, we hang out a lot we just moved to a new house a few months ago. We hang out a lot in our backyard. I can literally see them right now playing on our new
Aw.
swing set outside my office. Um, I
Yeah.
they go to bed at like 7ish, like that is my very sacred time. Um, Sometimes recharging for me is just like laying in bed and watching something like I admittedly still watch Grey's Anatomy. Like
Same.
sometimes I just
Yeah.
like need to turn off, you know? And like
Yeah.
There is Amy and I have talked about this, and I don't know what the study is, but it's something about when you watch a show that you're familiar with, it actually like
Mhm.
calms your nervous system because
Yeah,
of the familiarity. And so
well,
that's why we like to gravitate towards these like
totally.
comfort
Well,
shows.
that and have you
Yeah.
heard of uh, something called competence porn?
Oh
No.
my gosh. Well, okay. The article, did you read
Oh,
this
okay.
article by
So
Liz
yeah, it's
Plank?
yeah.
It was so good. It was about the astronauts in space. And she was like, we're just starving for someone who's.
Yes, right? It's like
It
Oh.
was
when you
such a
watch
good
something
article.
like Grey's Anatomy,
Yeah.
it's like people who are really, really good at their job, like
The
doing it at
pit.
like this real yes, the pit,
Yes.
perfect example of it. They're
Yeah.
so good and there's something like really relaxing for me at least
Hmm.
of watching someone else be really good at their job and for me
Oh,
to
yeah.
just like
Yeah.
be like just lay there, right?
You're
So
taken
Like
care
you
of. It
feel
reminds you of
safe.
like,
yeah, you're
I
like,
will be taken
oh,
care of. Yeah.
yeah. And so yeah, that or like I'm really into like an Epsom salt bath
Mm.
too.
Mhm.
It hits different than like a regular bath.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I like to like go to bed, honestly.
Yeah.
Sleep
Just
I mean,
so underrated. Yeah.
yep.
building a company with 2 under 5 and an
Yeah.
Mhm.
IVF journey and
Mhm.
supporting parents, intended parents
Yeah.
struggling with infertility, women going
I'm
through huge life decisions. My
yeah.
goodness, like you
I'm
must have.
lucky I have an amazing partner.
Mm,
My
mhm.
husband is like, I mean, I can see him laying on the grass outside with them. Like we are equal parents. And
Yeah.
we have been since day one, and I think that that has made all the difference.
Mm.
And he's very supportive of my work and vice versa. So,
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
he's it.
that's amazing. It's what we all strive for. Well,
Okay,
last
last
one.
one, and then we're saying goodbye. This is actually rapid fire. When
Okay.
you go to the store to get a treat, what do you get?
Soft serve.
Ooh, what
Amazing.
flavor?
Like,
Sorry, one more.
I love
I
like a
have to know.
classic vanilla,
Yeah.
or like I live in LA, and so my favorite soft serve is Erewhon Coconut
Oh,
Bliss soft
Ooh,
serve.
I haven't tried
sure.
that.
And
Of
with
course.
a
We're
peanut
both
butter
in LA
drizzle.
too.
Yeah, we're in LA as well, Lauren.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
And
in Long Beach and she's in Sherman
I
Oaks.
didn't know.
Wait,
Well,
what? I'm in
our
Laurel
tip
Canyon.
I used to live in West Hollywood, so I would
Oh my
drive through
God.
Laurel, and I'd be like, "One day I'll live here."
Wait, let's
It's
be
so
friends.
magical there. I
Let's
would
be
love that.
friends.
That would be
That would be
amazing.
amazing.
We are way over time, but I was going to
Sorry.
say, side note, which I'm going to plug. Do you do any kind of financing or whatnot support for IPs? And if yes, maybe yes.
Yes. So we partner with a number of different financing options, and it really just depends on what the intended parent is looking for. And
I
so
was going to
the
plug. Oh, sorry, you go.
no, you go.
Okay, I was going to plug Sunfish because we
Mhm.
interviewed Angela, who's down here in LA
Yes,
too.
she is. Yeah. So they
Right.
are like one of our OG
Oh,
financing partners.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I feel like we need to do
Amazing.
like a big brunch with all the like LA people
I would. That
Yes,
would
and
be
they will
a
serve
dream.
eggs at this brunch.
and soft serve eggs and
Yeah.
soft
Yeah.
serve.
Absolutely.
So like
Amazing.
the eggs
Um,
would just be I will tell you the women's health fertility community in LA and Sarah Orick I saw was on your
yes.
We
podcast.
love Sarah.
I love her. I see her all the time.
Yeah,
Like
she was
amazing.
incredible too.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
That's so cool.
amazing. I feel, and I know Katie, you share this, but just so grateful for the more and more women, it's pretty much always women who are driving such
Mhm.
improvements in this space for all of us. And the only sad part about it is that, I wish this was all here 10 years ago, but
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that it's here and
here
it's
now.
it's coming to fruition now, and that
Yeah.
actually we get to sort of be a part of it in some small way and like use our own challenges and struggles to kind of further it too. And I mean, that's just what women do. We pay it forward, and it's incredible. I'm just
Mhm.
constantly inspired by it.
I meant it when I said like I am impressed by what you guys do, and it's so important because we have to have these conversations. And whether it's a conversation you're having out loud or when you're listening to and your AirPods or whatever, like doesn't matter. It's a conversation that needs to happen, and it's something that we like just need to feel zero shame about. That's it.
Yeah, amazing. This is
Well,
great.
Lauren, thank you so, so much. And yes, we would love to have you back to chat secondary infertility in the future. And please go follow Cofertility. And Lauren, have a wonderful night. And thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Maybe